Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul.
They're gonna run out of cheeseheads soon.
The Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, about now, about now, about now.
What is poppin', y'all? It's your man Clyde Boy Bales, and welcome to another episode of Wisco Sports Weekly. Haven't made a video in a while. Honestly, I've been just taking some good old breaks, but honestly, I've been kind of focusing on the Brewers because there really is no sports on. It has been a very boring last couple of months, but we're already to the halfway point of the season. It's the All-Star break. And usually my daily tradition is that I grade each brewer and their performance and how I think they're doing this season. It's a letter grade, and I'll obviously go in alphabetical order, and I'm obviously going to count players that have had a significant time playing this season. So pretty much all the official starters and obviously players that have played mainly a lot of time, as well as the starting rotation and relief pitchers that have played in a long experienced amount of time. So honestly, you know, it's been a weird year. The Brewers are in second place right now, one game behind the Cincinnati Reds. They have the tiebreaker, so they'll be in first place if that's the case. They win. They literally have to play the Reds 6 more times this month. That's just weird. And that's it. But that's weird. How is it the Cincinnati Reds out of all teams? At first, Pittsburgh was like really good. Now they're looking like crap, like I thought. And then the Cardinals are like doing super bad. The Padres are doing super bad. The Mets are doing super bad. All the teams those teams are all in the playoffs last year, and they're all doing terrible. I have no idea what's going on. But yes, it's very winnable for the Brewers to win the division this season. I mean, especially if the Cardinals are going to continue to struggle, they're going to trade away their people. You know that. But obviously, trade deadline obviously will come soon. So, of course, I will make a video on possible trade line candidates as well. But honestly, this is my grades for how I think each player is doing throughout the season. Honestly, we have about, I think I made it 20, I think. I think I picked about 20 people this time. But we'll see how we do. So anyways, if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and let's get down to business. So first off, we'll go from A to Y. We'll start with our shortstop, Willy Adames. Before people say anything, I am so high on Willy Adames to be this high-octane player. And has he been that octane player? It's hard to say. I mean, he has his second most batting appearances. He leads the team in home runs and is tied for RBIs. 16 home runs, 46 RBIs, but the same stinking problem as last year. His batting average still sucks. He was barely batting over 200 2 weeks ago. Now he got it up to 213. But I want to see more. You know, last year I gave him, you know, a good, decent grade if it wasn't for the batting average, but honestly, I don't know what to say. So, if I had to be honest with you, I really expect more out of Willy. If you're your best player, you gotta at least put the batting average and start attempting to hit the ball and not go for the home run every single time. With that being said, I give him a C+. I know it's a little harsh because it's Willy, but because you're probably the best player on the team, I expect more. That's all I'm going to say. All right, next up we have, I have the list right here, Brian Anderson. Honestly, a cheap rental that we got him for. Urias, we had Urias, and there's been moments that he struggled, but it's good that we got Brian because Urias has barely even played this season. He suffered an injury, and when he's played, he's done awful. So having a guy like Brian Anderson with a big arm, is great. Because it's also great because Anderson has not been healthy for like the last 3 seasons. So he has not even been injured yet at all this season. So that is a plus. Getting this guy as a rental, a guy that can play some defense and fielding, that's honestly great. 9 home runs, 38 RBIs. For someone that's cheap, that we literally got for cheap, I think is actually a great deal. Couple mishaps, but I guess they all happen. I guess I'll have to give him a B. I think, because he's doing exactly how I thought he'd do. And that's on expectations. Absolutely. Next up, we have our ace, Corbin Burnes. He's played 18 games this season. I don't think he's missed a game. His record is 7-5. He has allowed 83 hits, 47 earned runs, 14 home runs. He's walked 39 people, struck out 102, and his ERA is 3.94. That is his worst ERA he's had in the last 3 seasons, but you know what? I guess as a pitcher, you're not going to be perfect. He started the year out really rough. And that's obviously something that, can be rough. But then he has his games where he just looks lights out. His last couple games have been really good, and he's looking a lot better. He has made it to his 3rd consecutive All-Star game. He is completely chopped off his mullet and looks different, and honestly, I don't know what really to expect. Burnes, because he started out really weak, I'm going to give him a B-, but I think he's starting to get back on track, which is a good thing. Next up, Victor Caratini, one of our pitchers. For a catcher, he's got a lot of at-bats, 28 hits, 5 home runs, 17 RBIs, a .255 batting average for a backup catcher, honestly is pretty impressive. I'll give him a B. I mean, you can't really not say that that's a bad thing to have when you really, are doing a lot. I give credit to Victor Caratini. He's a great addition to our team. His defense is fantastic. We know he's one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. I'm still happy. I didn't even give him a grade last year, which is crazy. I should have, but I didn't because of the amount of people that weren't the amount of people that actually were healthy on the team. I mean, literally, I grade Tyrone. He hasn't even played hardly this season. Arias hasn't barely played this season. Woodruff and Garrett Mitchell all have not played this season, and Keston Hira hasn't even been called up yet. So it's like, yeah, I get it. That's probably I didn't even give him a grade. So whatever. Yeah, I know. Next up, we're gonna go with our other catcher, William Contreras. I think he is the 2nd best player on the team this season. He is doing exactly what I expected from him this season. He is outstanding. .262 batting average, 9 home runs, 32 RBIs, 68 hits. I think, which is the 2nd most, 3rd most hits on the team. He's been a great addition, and he started slow, and then he started picking it back up. But as for a catcher, you're not supposed to be doing all that stuff. He's going to improve, and he's going to be a great player. And that's why I'm super excited for him. I'll give him an A- for that reason. Next up, we have Adrian Hauser. I wasn't going to give him a grade, but he has played a decent amount of games where I think I should. He has played 11 games and started 9 of those, a record of 3-2, and an ERA of 3.68, which isn't that terrible. There were some games where he was just lights out, and then there was like 2 games where he just looked like awful. So I'll give him a C+. I don't know where to really put him because I don't think he's played enough games, but honestly, we'll see what that happens later down on the year if they keep him in the starting rotation when Woodruff comes back or if they bring him to the bullpen. We'll see. Eric Lauer. Obviously, what a disappointing season that he is having. Literally, he's only played 9 games. He got literally sent down because they gave up on him. He had a 4-5 record, but then his ERA was like 5.48, and literally in the span of 9 games, he's allowed 13 home runs. I don't know if he'll get called back up this season, but depending on what happens, he could. We don't know what will happen. I'll give him a D-. I don't know. Next up, Wade Miley. He's played 13 games this season. Obviously, good to see him back with the team. Not a guy that's allowed a lot of home runs, but a 3.06 ERA is very impressive. A 6.2 record, probably the best winning percentage by a pitcher on the Brewers this season. I think at the start of the season, I was saying that he was the best player on the team. Then he had some injury, and then he's kind of been a little rusty at some points, but he has actually been good enough to be a quality starting pitcher. I'm glad we got him back. I'll give him a B+. I'm really happy to see that he's back on the team and really showing up. Next up, Owen Miller. My goodness, Owen Miller, a guy I kind of thought was not going to get much playing time, is actually doing himself a favor. He is, now I wouldn't say he's become a regular because he didn't start out as a regular, but he worked his way in and now he's starting games. Whatever. If I looked at him, 246 at-bats, 70 hits, that's second on the team, only 4 home runs and 24 RBIs, but pretty much he's not that type of guy. But he's reliable when you're hitting the ball. I mean, his batting average is 285, and that is right now the best on the team. I guess for a guy that was considered to be maybe a guy that wouldn't even make the team, a minor league player, oh my gosh, what a pickup. He's Jim Ganter 2.0. That's how I look at him. I'll give him an A-. I'm impressed with him. I met him. Really nice guy. All right. Next up, Joel Payamps. I wasn't going to give really many relief pitchers grades, but I honestly am giving him a grade because, 1, he has the most holds, which is great. 16 holds. That's really good. 2, he has been the most reliable relief pitcher other than Devin Williams. He has a 3-1 record. He actually has 3 saves. And, he's kind of not allowed much of home runs, but his ERA is 1.91. A guy that we just got in a random trade has actually he's putting up all-star numbers, but isn't getting recognized. And I thought I'd recognize him here. Congratulations. I'll give you a B+. Next up, Freddie Peralta. I guess he has been obviously, he's actually had a healthy season. Most of the time, Freddie always gets injured and doesn't do it. But he's been healthy. He has not gone out this season. 17 played games. He has, fortunately, a 5-7 record. But his ERA is 4.7. And that's just not proficient enough to say... I'll say he just hasn't been the player I expected him to be. He's had some games where he can just pitch lights out, some innings, and then there's just always that inning where he just struggles and just can't get out of himself. He's doing the same stuff that he was doing before. I'll give him a C-. I just think I need more out of Freddie. I'm sorry, I have to say that. Next up, Colin Ray. A guy that he's played 16 games, he started 15 games, played 16, a 5.4 record, a 4.71 ERA. I mean, it's a random pickup because he was a minor leaguer, but he's had to come in to play, and he hasn't been that bad. He's a guy that'll only give up a couple runs per game. There's some games he's even pitched that were lights out. Now, I hope he doesn't fall apart, and that would probably have to send him back down, because we saw that with Jason Alexander last season. But for a guy that can come in the games and put up average, at least decent performances, is good enough for me. I'll say I give him a B-. I mean, that's all I can ask for. Next up, another guy from the minors that we had to sign and call up because of injuries. That is Julio Teheran. He had 8 starts. 6 of those were lights out performances. Now the last 2, not so much. Those were bad performances. And his ERA is now up to 3.64. I mean, he was having one of the best starts for a Brewer since, he was really looking phenomenal. And then it just started to fall apart. I would have honestly gave him an A because of how good he was, but now he gets a B because the last 2 were kind of not so good, but maybe he'll just he needs a little break and wants to get himself focused. If he does continue to struggle, they probably will cut him or send him back down. Next up, Rowdy Tellez. Before, he was looking like the best player this season. Let's look at his stat line. Where is it? Okay. 253 at-bats, and then he has 55 hits, 12 home runs, and 36 RBIs. His batting average, unfortunately, is .213. It was a lot better before. The last time he hit a home run was, unfortunately, May. Something happened, and then we found out he was injured. And now I don't really feel as bad because, in all honesty, you know what? If you're battling with something that's in your arm, you need some rest. And I'm glad they put him on the IL before. I hope he gets himself together because we definitely need the old Rowdy back. Because of this injury, I think I'll give him a C+, unfortunately, because, you know, we could have used him in the last month and a half. But, you know what, hopefully he gets back to himself and really steps up his game like he was. Next up, we have Bryce Terang, one of the rookies, has really been an impact player. I wouldn't necessarily say he's been phenomenal, only a .207 ERA at batting average, but pretty much, you know, 42 hits, 3 home runs, 18 RBIs. I guess a guy that you could basically say, as a rookie, I'm not going to give him too harsh of a grade, but he's going to get better and better as time goes on. I'll give him a C+, because I think, you know, he's starting out a little slow. He had to get sent down. His batting average isn't the greatest, but he's a guy that's supposed to be a great player in the future. I can't wait to see how he does. Next up, our other rookie, Joey Wiemer. Our best fielder, our best defensive player is a rookie. I would have never thought that in my mind, but for a guy that's a rookie, unfortunately his batting average also is a bad one, .212. That's unfortunate, but I mean, he has, you know, 12 home runs and 33 RBIs, and that he is tied for second for home runs on the team. I mean, for a rookie to be at that position is actually formidably good. He also has 2 walk-offs. Great. I mean, that's great. And the guy can make catches. He's going to be an outstanding outfielder. I'll give him a B- because, of course, the batting average is absolute garbage. But, I mean, he's doing what you want out of a rookie. But in the future, I think he's going to be a great player. Next up, Devin Williams. Man, our closer. At first, I was like, this guy, if he has one of those starts where he starts like crap again and then can't get himself to his composure, you know, that sucks. But no, he's actually having a good season so far. He's only blown 2 games, which is not bad, but compared to how Josh Hader was at this point last season, remember Josh Hader just completely collapsed and looked awful? I think a lot of people remember that he just kept blowing games and that he got traded and all this stuff. But, I mean, Williams has a 1.89 ERA right now. His record is 4-2. 34 games he's pitched, and 20 of those are saves. I guess that's actually good. That's good. I'll give him an A-. I can't sit there enough and say, you know, that he's been phenomenal, but I guess he's doing exactly how I expected him to play. Bryce Wilson, a guy we got in the trade. He's had 30 appearances, a 3.0 record, 3 saves, a guy with a .270 ERA, a guy that we thought was going to be in the starting rotation, but they decided to use him as a relief pitcher. I've actually been impressed with him. Now, they don't really put him in when we have leads because I think they know he's not the most reliable pitcher to have in multiple innings. But yeah, he's a guy I think that they could put in multiple innings in a game. I'm glad they have him at relief pitcher because I think he's better at relief pitcher. I'm glad about that. But I'll give him a B. I'll give credit. Next up, Jesse Winker. I remember in my prediction video that I said he was going to lead the team in home runs, and make the All-Star game. Yeah, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Winker has been the biggest disappointment in the team this season. Now, has he done some things? Yes. But when you get a guy that you're intending to be your designated hitter, and he's absolutely, and it's to the point where you're not even starting him every single game, that's a problem. Only 30 hits, only 1 home run and 22 RBIs, and his batting average is dead center 200. Now, yes, he could totally churn it around and start playing better. I mean, we saw McCutchen really struggle at the start of the season and then really pouring it around. But this is just awful. Because he is doing some things, I'll give him a D, but you need more, okay? Otherwise, if he even gets cut, I would not be surprised. And then finally, our final player. Wow, we've gone through all the players already. I guess you should know who this guy is. Christian Yelich. He leads the team with at-bats. He has 67 runs, that's most on the team. He has 93 hits, that's the most on the team. He has the most doubles with 19. He has 11 home runs, which is great. He's tied for RBIs with 46. He's been walked the most, and he has the best batting average and slugging percentage and OPS. And yeah, I think it's safe to say Yelich is starting to look like himself. I hope. I mean, he has been our best player on the team. I'll give him an A. He's the only person I've given an A in this entire list. So that's an honorable thing to say. But wow. Just wow. You remember he was doing the same thing in 2018, and remember when he broke out and went crazy? Do I think that'll probably happen? No, but it's likely. I'm starting to see that Christian Yelich is really starting to maybe pick up the pieces a little bit. And I think if he wasn't with the team, this team would be in last place. I think he is the reason why this team is doing well. So if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and more updates to come. So all games resume on Friday as they take on the Reds once again. It'll be a rough month. I mean, we literally have to play the Reds, the Phillies, the Reds, the Braves. Oh my gosh, that sucks. But we'll see what happens. We got a good old 2.5 months left of baseball, and the trade deadline, so anything can happen. And I'll be obviously rooting on my team this season. And more updates to come on other news on sports. So if you like what you see, comment and subscribe, and we will see you next time.